In the age of generative AI, a lot of people are asking the question, if somebody can just type something into an AI and generate a video, then what does this mean for the future of content creation or even movies and games? And what's all this about? Now, obviously, disclaimer going into this, nobody knows for certain what's going to happen with anything since we've never encountered this kind of thing before, and people are usually pretty bad at predicting the future. So take everything with this as my acknowledgement of the uncertainty of the future. Very recently, OpenAI released their new AI model, Sora 2, which is their new generative AI. And looking at the generative examples they have, it's quite impressive and a little frightening. Most of these videos are not obviously AI. They don't have many of the weirdness that we saw with generative AI in the beginning. There's some examples on this of like movie style AI where they are essentially trying to generate something that's a bit more fictional or fantasy-like, and it's quite impressive as well. And are we going to end up in this future where all videos and movies and everything on the internet or just in general is created by AI? We've even seen a rise in AI musical artists. Recently, a AI musical artist actually reached the top 100. I believe it was on Spotify. I'll fix it in editing where it is. And that's quite interesting. So the question is, what does this mean for people like myself who like to make these videos, and what does it mean for the future of entertainment? Before we get into this topic, I think it's important to talk a little bit about what art in general means to a lot of people and what it means that we're shifting to generative AI. Let's do a little thought experiment to explore this topic a bit before we kind of dissect into what I think the outcome of this is. Now here in my hand, I have two different mugs. This one I bought at just a store, just a normal mug. And this one is handmade by a local artist that I know personally. This mug costs substantially more than this one. I think it's probably double the price. And it's slightly imperfect. I have a couple of these and they're all slightly different sizes and they all have some slight differences, whereas every one of these on the shelf looks exactly the same. While these objects are functionally identical, I mean, sure, they're aesthetically different, but you could make this mug look like this mug. It wouldn't really be a big deal. What is the actual difference to these in terms of value? There's an obvious value or elevation of this product that somebody made versus this product that I just bought from a store and have no personal connection to. And it's not like this particular thing was lovingly handmade by somebody. It was mass produced as a product. It was something that somebody made, probably 10,000 of, and sold in the store. Now this product, in spite of having some small imperfections, is really one of my favorite mugs I've ever owned. It has this beautiful color in it that kind of changes depending on the way the light hits it. And this is obviously just more valuable. But the value of this doesn't at all come from the physical properties of the mug. It's functionally identical. While you could make the argument that these are both mugs and these are both products, I would argue that these are actually made for an entirely different reason. This is a product. This is a work of art. This is something that somebody carefully made, and while they are selling them to support themselves, the person who made this put way more time and effort into thinking about this single mug than they probably did about these 10,000. The point I'm trying to make is that things are about more than just their physical properties. They are about the meaning behind them. And of course, the mug that was made by somebody I know is going to have more value than the other one. Even if you didn't know the person like I do, it would still have more value because you know that a single person made this product with a lot of love and care. The process of automating the production of a specific product, I think, speaks a lot about the way that we view that particular product. The fact that some things have not been automated means that there is something valuable inherently about the process, even if that process is in some sense irrelevant to the final product. A quick apology, I am suffering a cold, so if I sound a little weird or gross, I'm terribly sorry, but I was so excited to talk about this topic, I didn't really want to delay it for another couple days, especially since I'm trying to keep on that algorithm and keep the views going up, of course. By the way, if you're watching this video, please like this video. It doesn't cost you anything. It's completely free, I promise. I've never been charged for giving somebody a like, and it makes a huge difference for us. It's something that's completely easy to pass up for you makes a huge difference for every little creator. So thank you very much for watching this video this far, and I hope that you can reward, hopefully, the effort I put into making this video with this like. When we start to mass manufacture something, it indicates a shift in how we think about that particular thing. Instead of having something that's functional but still has an element of artfulness and uniqueness and personality to it. We just want the functional output with none of the messiness with it. We want to make things as efficiently as possible. And in a way, I feel like I've observed this trend for a while where content has become more and more commodified. Instead of being an artistic expression or just something that somebody wanted to make, it's about harvesting some kind of reward from the system, whether that's financial or attention or whatever it is. It seems like it's now just about putting content out there to entertain the billions of people that are spending hours on the internet every day to try and find something to watch. When we start to think about content as less of art, it makes total sense that we're going to start using things like generative AI to make that process quicker. When we start to use generative AI, it makes perfect sense because we no longer care about the heart or the soul. I know that's abstract, but I feel like there's not a better way of describing it, of the content itself. It's secondary in some sense to the end product. Nowadays, most platforms are just trying to get as much content in front of as many people as possible, and everything else to some degree is secondary. In some real sense, TikTok and Instagram don't care if your work is creatively transformative. All they care about is it going to maintain engagement on the site? Now, obviously, this isn't an all-out bad thing. All of these things are nuanced, and making something that holds people's attention is actually what I try to do because it means what I'm saying is interesting and I'm not rambling for too long. If I add too much unnecessary detail to a video, people are less likely to watch it because it's not useful. And that's what I want to do. I want to make something that makes people think about things they don't normally think about. But when attention is the only particular metric, we start to try and exploit it rather than making better content. This is why now you have these like ADHD dopamine videos where it's like 3 videos playing at once to try and get you to stay on that clip as long as possible. They're trying to exploit your attention to hold you there as long as possible and get the rewards from it. It's kind of a cheat to the system. The shift from thinking about creative output as a product rather than an expression of creativity is something that's very evident in things like film. Nowadays, it's seen more as an investment and a product rather than something that is creatively transformative. There's this thing that I've heard a lot of film enthusiasts talk about, which is the Marvelification of many film franchises, where they found this successful formula, and instead of it now being this like way of making a film, it's like seen as the most profitable avenue for making a film, and the creativity isn't important because the profitability comes first. Sure, there's always been an element of business involved in the making and manufacturing of entertainment. I mean, even the guy singing in the local pub in the dark ages probably would want a free drink once in a while, but by and large, the focus is more and more on the actual profitability of the content. There's a reason that a lot of the top selling artists sound more or less the same and are very generic, because they're trying to capitalize on the largest possible audience. Making something creative and transformative is no longer as important. I'm not trying to say that everybody here is a sellout, and there are good executions of old formulas, and I'm not trying to throw all creators under the bus. There's many really great creators, but you have to observe this trend of content becoming this commodity rather than this individualized expression of thought and emotion and a personal experience. The reason there's often something really interesting about a painting versus a photograph, not that there isn't great photography, is that when it's coming from a person's mind, every single thing that's represented in a painting is a personal choice from the artist. You'll have all these little emergent things that come out in the art because maybe they didn't have a certain color, or maybe they're trying to hide a mistake. Representing a person's perception of a particular thing is sometimes more interesting than the accurate representation of that thing. And this is the part where I think that generative AI is not the biggest threat, because when you're really looking for that unique take that somebody has, who cares what the AI's opinion about something is, really? When I watch a creator, I want to know what that individual with his or her personal experiences is experiencing and how they interpret the world. That's what's interesting to me. I don't care about what an AI thinks is the most average or predictable answer for that particular thing. Most things in the world can be mathematically expressed in very cold, non-experiential terms. But that doesn't mean that it is a good representation of what the experience of that thing is like. And for us humans, a lot of times experience is what's important. A breakup, when described as coldly as possible, is just an ending of a mutual relationship. A roller coaster becomes just an experience of various forces. But that's not what riding a roller coaster is about. It's about the feeling of it. And that's where I think that AI falls short. even if AI can manufacture a facsimile of what a person making experiential content is like, it's never going to matter because it's not coming from a real person. If we look at the Sora 2 sample video of this ice skater, it looks completely real. We know that skaters can do this. But it doesn't mean anything because what's impressive about a skater doing this is demonstrating their skill and ability over a particular thing. It's mastery, it's expression, it's all these complex experiences into one thing. And you don't even have a full appreciation for the hundreds or thousands of hours it took for this person to master that skill and the thousands of failed attempts at doing this particular thing. It doesn't matter that we can replicate it on video. The fact that people are actually able to do that is always going to be more interesting to us than generated content. The real danger, I think, with AI is deception. It's the fact that maybe there will be channels like mine that organically spring up small, hopefully into larger channels, fingers crossed, and people think they're real, but they're entirely manufactured. I think this will be a great betrayal to a lot of people. Here they think that they have this kind of weird connection to this person and they get to see life through their perspective, which can be really helpful to us. I think that's why we like stories. We like to hear how people experience things and how they overcame things and how they felt about things. But when you replace that with essentially the facsimile of it, that genuineness is not there to the same degree. Now, of course, people are going to watch AI content because they'll find it interesting because it's AI, but that's still in some sense secondary to the output of the product. I think that as we move into a world of generated content, it's going to put a higher and higher value on actually human-made things because it'll be more unique. It'll be something that you have a connection to. It'll be something that matters more deeply, since now it's not even about the thing that they're making, since anybody can do that. It's about that person's decision to make that. Now, obviously, this might be a bit of a generous interpretation. There'll be plenty of people that mindlessly scroll things and might be super happy and entertained watching AI content. And to be honest, I've seen some incredibly entertaining AI content. One really good example of entertaining AI content is a reggae version of The Lord of the Rings that I stumbled upon not too long ago. It's this whole song where they generate all the characters of The Lord of the Rings into this setting. I think that's perfectly entertaining and fun. But my appreciation for that video would have been substantially higher if it would have been an actual person making all the costumes and writing the music and singing it out. I can print out a picture of the Mona Lisa. I could print it out in such high detail that it would be indistinguishable from a few feet from the real thing. But that wouldn't be the same as going and seeing the actual piece that was painted by somebody who had this idea and this technique he was trying to convey that captivates people for so long, that even hundreds of years after it was painted, we're still looking at this and marveling and wondering who this person is and why they look like that and what they're thinking about. The depth of reflection there is so great. Maybe we'll reach a point where AI has some level of consciousness, and then it will be more interesting to see what the AI thinks. But I think that there will always be value for what others think. And I think that'll always be important because art isn't just about the outward product. There are chessbots now that can beat pretty much every single player alive. That doesn't mean that people don't play chess anymore, because achieving it in person means something. The humanity of the art matters. And I think that while there are plenty of people that are going to be totally fine consuming slop all the time, the people who value the realness of creation, that value art, that value aesthetics, that value human experience, are going to appreciate it even more deeply. I think one thing that's quite encouraging is the fact that so many people dislike generative AI. It seems like a very broadly accepted thing that this isn't particularly good. And I think that restores my hope that at least we understand on some deep level that creation is about so much more than just making something. It's about the why and the reason and the messaging and all of that. If you're not convinced by this, let's look at the massive growth in demand for handmade artisanal goods. The market research I did found that there's a huge increase in the demand for handmade goods, especially if they're made locally. Availability is no longer a problem. Now it's actually about quality and value of the person behind it making it. People like the connected sense they get from these goods. The fact that you can get something cheaper and easier doesn't diminish the value of something that's actually made by a person. It's now less about the thing. I mean, sure, you may still want the end functional product, but it has so much more value when a person really took the time to actually make a thing. If you have a local tradesperson and a large company, obviously the local tradesperson can't compete with Amazon in terms of availability, speed, and cost, but they can offer something completely different and unique. They can offer a product that matters, something that has a real connection between you and the person creating it. And I think this is something that a lot of people are going to resonate with. When content in general is a dime a dozen, then what's going to make it stand out is not necessarily the epicness of it or the cinematography. It's going to be the person behind the camera, or rather in front of the camera. It's going to be a person who is being recorded that is going to make it valuable. And I think that is really where we're going. And I think in a way this might be good because a lot of people that make low effort content are going to be replaced because it's easier to just make it generated. And the people who are authentic and offering something valuable are going to be the ones that really stand out and have an opportunity. And it'll be the actual creativity and the messaging and the meaning and the information that is where the value comes from. I think that there will always be a group of people that appreciate things that are made by individuals in the old-fashioned way, so to speak, and that artists that actually bring some uniqueness, some openness, some self-expression are going to have a higher value than they ever did. Now, obviously, this is a nuanced topic with many things and objections that you could make on what I'm saying, and maybe I'll address some of those in the future. But I think that starting from a place of hope and optimism is often helpful for us. Negativity tends to do bad things for people. It's easy to come on here and catastrophize. Honestly, this video would probably do better if I did. And I hope that this video maybe encouraged you or helped you feel a little better about this. And we'll see. And I hope you enjoyed this video. I am a real human being, I promise. I'm not AI, or am I? I promise, no, I'm not AI. I wish I was. It would bring down the cost of rent substantially. Anyway, I'll see you guys next week, and I hope you enjoyed this video. Please leave a comment, subscribe if you enjoyed it, and like the video. It helps me out.